Hey y'all, hey, you are watching and listening to Lex Between the Lines. I am your host, Lex. For the most part, I try to stay in between the lines, but these last couple of author interviews, the books, I have no choice but to step out of the line. You'll see once we start and get into the books, but first, I'm going to let my co host introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Skyline A. Millbow. I am an author of erotic romance. My first novel, my debut novel, is called My Kind of Love. It came out August 18th. I have two upcoming releases coming out this summer. My second, which is The Fall, follows the story of the main group from the first book, and then we get to know some more people who we
Mm-hmm.
briefly met during the first book. And then the second book dives a little bit more in deeper into one of the characters' professions. So lots of stuff going on.
Honey, what made you say, you must already, you must already know what I'm about to say.
I think I do. I think I do.
Cause listen, I love me some erotica. I love me some smut. I said, what made her say I'm finna write the and then you went in. Do you hear me? What and then this is your debut. How did we get to this genre?
So I have always loved erotica. Like as I was preparing for today, I was like thinking about like where I started, and like I would go to the bookstore and like read, different poetry. And for a long time, like I never thought I could do it.
Mhm.
So I was after so there were some things that happened, and I kind of used romance to kind of um like I don't know, just as a way to find myself, like a way to relax. So I read so much romance, but then there were things in particular I was looking for. So one of the questions that you sent, it was like some things that kind of um shaped my writing. Well, I
Mhm.
had a hysterectomy at the end of 2022. And, I was grieving, life not going the way I had planned it to go, and, infertility, all of these things. And as I was reading romance, I was reading a lot of pregnancy tropes. And I was like, I want to see a woman who's had infertility live her best sex life. And when I tell you I gave Miss Enobi that's what she got.
Enobi ain't have to worry about no surprises. And when I tell you they was hunching and getting it in, even on the front, I said, wait a minute. We just met Zeke and them. And then we just met the other two ladies. God, I said, wait a minute.
So I thought about that. And, because Club Inana is a lifestyle club that's like at the center of the universe. And I was like, they meet in a lifestyle club. They can't be yearning over each other if they meet at a lifestyle club. We know what you going to the club for.
I mean, like, normally, you see, like they're all like timid, and the stories that I've read when they have these clubs and stuff, and the characters are like all timid, or they're like they don't know. Like you knew you was going to this club and stuff. So why is you up in here like I don't know what to expect? Okay, you don't know what to expect, but you know what you went into, baby. She went up in there. She didn't know what to expect, but she was open to everything.
She was open. She said, she, look, she lived her best life. She did it.
How did you create this club? Like, was there any type of research that went into it?
hmm Yeah. So wow, I didn't prepare for that one. Oh, so actually,
But you laughing real
um,
hard. Why you
I
need
know,
to
right?
laugh?
May have been a time where maybe I have been to one, maybe. So actually, oh my gosh, we might need to have you edit that part out.
You can't just drop no bomb like that and then no, nah. The readers want to know what his plug came from. You can't just drop no bomb like that on us and then talk about some.
Yeah,
Give us the.
yeah. So maybe that's one of the things that have happened. But also though, like thinking about the club, I also wanted it to be a place that kind of centered like all different body types,
Hmm.
and all different experiences. And so as I was thinking about what the name of the club would be, I knew I wanted to name it after a goddess. And so I did some research, and I also knew I wanted to be after a goddess who um was like reclaimed by the LGBT community. And I found Inanna. And it was just kind of perfect how it worked out. And then thinking about things like the lighting system on the doors, you know so um so just thinking about clubs, there are a couple of different clubs, one of which is called Colette, and they have clubs in New Orleans. They have one, I think, in Austin. But just kind of like thinking about like the way um things, the way they do things in that club, but then also kind of thinking about the things that I wanted to create in my universe, and then like how to like center consent. So the window setting was like another way to do that, to center consent. And I'm getting a little warm. And
Girl, we making you sweat.
I know,
We
I'm
got
like,
you in the
whew.
hot seat.
I'm definitely in the hot seat. So yeah, so centering consent, but then also like just another way to like look at voyeurism as well. So
Hmm.
like, the green light or the purple light, people can look, but you can look but not come in the room. So, just kind of thinking
A
things like
certain
that.
level to it.
Yeah. And that's not anything I'd seen, but just kind of thinking about like what are some ways that we can continue to like weave in this idea of consent, idea of um voyeurism, and then also lifestyle, like allowing people just to express different interests.
Honey, I'm just like in the rope room. We really did some research and stuff, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, we did. We did some research.
I'm
We did some
nosy.
research.
I'm nosy as hell. So if you could just say, just do me this little sign, cause baby, and I'd be like, okay, next question. The ropes. Was this from personal experience or is this from something we researched?
Well, the ropes is from something we researched, so not personal experience.
Okay.
Yes, the rope, but so the other thing about that is having beta readers. So I have a few beta readers who are in the lifestyle.
Wait a minute. Come on, beta readers. You got the
Right.
actual baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So, and a lot of them like gave me feedback about, and a lot of it was things just around the mental health representation,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. But then also it was nice to have people who were in the community kind of like, say, yeah, yeah, that's spicy. On one of which was like a woman who has been in the community for years. She said, I had to look up a rimming chair. Girl, what is a rimming chair? Also something I researched, not from experience.
Ma'am,
I know.
this is our debut. You came out swing. You held nothing. When I say nothing, you held nothing back.
Yeah, yeah.
let's get into these characters.
Okay.
Were any of them based on like characteristics or people that you know, or did they just kind of like come to you and you like created, or did they remind you of anybody in like real life?
Hmm. I would say Enobi is reminds me of me in a lot of ways. And I told you about that experience,
Hmm.
having a hysterectomy and wanting to see like somebody who looked like me represented, and also seeing somebody that looked like me being loved down. When I tell you, them people love that lady, them people love that lady. So just thinking about all of that, and then so I would say definitely Enobi is a lot of me. um and then also I would say that um Bronson is actually a character that's been in my head for a while. And like I've always been a writer, and before I actually wrote the novel, I would like write poetry, but then I would have these ideas for stories, and I just never wrote anything for whatever reason. So finally, I was talking to a friend, and I was actually telling her, I want to find a book that is, polyamorous. The woman has dealt with infertility, and she said, I think you're gonna have to write that. So I said, okay. So Bronson was a character that had been in my head for a while, and he started off as a superhero, like this real kind of bad, like wearing expensive three-piece suit, but also you ain't gonna play with me. So he had been in my head for a while, and then Zeke just kind of like, I don't know, it would be mornings that I would get up, and like I would just hear conversations, like, and I don't mean that to sound like,
I
but
know.
like hearing about their experience, like a mission that they had, or
Mhm.
Zeke running through the quarter and what he would listen to on his run. And that's kind of how those characters were built. um but then like Jody is like a culmination of my friends. I mean, Jody and Enobi's relationship is different. That relationship, but I think a lot of the things yeah, so in a lot of ways, uh Jody represents a lot of different friendships that I've had. But also then like thinking about things that they do for Enobi. So the bonnet thing came from, um I was talking to a friend of mine, and she had this big oversized bonnet, and I was like, oh, I love that. And next time I saw her, she had one for me. So just thinking about like how your friends do things and kind of take care of your needs. And that was also one of the things that I learned when I was kind of healing from my hysterectomy. Like I really felt alone. And it turned out to be a traumatic experience for me. And I was just thinking through all these things and wishing I had a partner to go with me through all of the things that I was going through. I didn't have
Mhm.
a partner, but I had my friends, and I had my friends who did these amazing things for me. So I kind of thought of it like that. So in some ways then I would say even the things that Bronson and Zeke do for Enobi, are things that have been inspired by gestures that my friends have done as well.
How did you determine? Because that first scene about took me out of there. I had to, boy, I slammed the book so fast because I was like, what? Like, yeah, they really comforted him through his transition. I was just like, how in the heck did you, like, we went from that and then we saw them progress,
Hmm.
but them nurturing him and seeing him through that, it was like, it was such an emotion. It was like, okay, we know it's erotica and stuff, but it was such an emotional read. Like,
Hmm.
how did you incorporate like what trauma to put in, and how did you know when to put it at the right spot? Because like it was paced perfectly.
Mm, thank you. So actually, that I have to give a credit to my developmental editor. So, there in that for so actually the book started from Enobi's point of view originally, and that scene when they're in the room, they're in the private room, and Bronson starts talking about Kyle, and Enobi knew about Kyle through Jody, and she said, "I'm sorry for your loss."
Mhm.
And Bronson said, "We loved him until the very end." And my developmental editor said, "You should really write something that shows that they loved him to the end." And so I did, and originally it was from Bronson's perspective. But then so I went through, we finished the second round of edits. I included the part from Bronson's perspective and sent it to beta readers. And then when it came back, she said, "I really think you should do it from Kyle's perspective." So I did it from Kyle's perspective, and she was like, "No, this ain't it." She was like, "It sounds too much like Bronson." When I tell you I was mad, I was like, "What you mean?" So then I went to sleep, and then I woke up. I'll never forget. I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I could hear Kyle as clear as day. And I rewrote it, and that's what ended up in the book. So yeah, so a lot of it changed a great deal from when it was originally from Bronson's perspective, but then there were some things that kind of stayed the same. So
Do you know someone who went through that, or you just wrote that? Because, honey, you took me through there.
did
You
I?
took me through. Yes. I felt like my homeboy was, I'm watching my, like, what? I feel like I was watching a family member pass. Like, I was watching them
Oh,
transition. Like, that's how,
yeah.
like,
Yeah, so actually, I lost my mom in 2017, and I kind of like pulled from that experience to write it. And um you know, I think um I think that experience, seeing, my mom to the very end, um, and just a story about my mom. So, when we found out that she was at the end of her treatment, we called her sisters, and she promised them that, she would hold on until they got there. So, she passed the morning after her second sister came, and like she really did hold on to both of her sisters got there, and she would not go with me in the room. So my cousin was coming to town, and I was like, "Let me go so she's not by herself, so let me go get some clothes." So I went, and I was halfway home, and they told me to come back. They called me and said, "Come back." And my aunt said that she sat down beside my mom and said, "You can go. We'll take care of her." Like, I'm a grown woman. I'm in my 40s, and my aunt said, "She'll be all right." And my mom let go. So, so then thinking about like the things that they say to him, and allowing him to go, like, just from experiences, and I did some reading about it too. Like, I did research to find out if a person who had prostate cancer would be able to have sex, like just kind of thinking about all of those kinds of things. So like thinking about my own experiences, and reading about other people's experiences kind of like influenced that part of the story.
wow.
I'm sorry, did I make you say? My bad.
I forgot what I was about to ask next.
Yes. So
Oh my God. Have you taken any writing classes or anything before?
yeah, so I actually took writing classes like very early on. So I think um maybe the last writing class I took was in my 20s. So I took a fiction writing class years ago. But like I said, like I was writing poetry and very immersed in like romance and all of these things. So when I started writing, it just felt natural. It just and the story just flowed too. So you know
And I heard you said you had who looked over, you said you had an editor who looked over
a,
your.
a developmental editor.
Where did you find a developmental editor?
Well, so she is actually a friend of mine. And okay, so the story about how Cal and Jody meet,
Mm-hmm.
that's actually like kind of how we met. Like we were at a coffee shop and it was full and she sat down and we just started talking and we have been friends ever since. So, when I first wrote the book, and I had been wanting to do something creative for a long time. And whenever I would have a story idea, I would like put it down and not finish it. So
Mm-hmm.
I told her, I was like, look, I did this. And she said, and I'm going to edit it for you. And I was like, okay. So yeah, so it's somebody that I've known for a while. But um yeah, but also know that when people, so there are a couple of Facebook groups that I'm a part of, like there's Black Girls Love Smut and there's another one, Black Girls Write Smut. So as people are looking for editors, I definitely share her information.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. I was like, wait a minute, do we have a whole team?
No, just her. Yeah, just her.
Where did you find your ARC and your beta readers? Did you find them in the group?
So my ARC and my beta readers, my beta readers were people that I knew. So actually, um, so a lot of them were people that I knew. So some who were in poly relationships, some who had been a part of the BDSM community, um, some who were in the lifestyle scene. And then actually I went to a pub crawl in New Orleans and, I was telling somebody, one of the people that I met, that I wrote this book. And I was like, I love it. And it's so spicy. And she was like, I would love to beta read it. So that's how I met one of my beta readers. So yeah, so and then, my editor had some people who were also interested. So then that's how I met my beta readers. For my ARC readers, I just reached out to people. So, and I didn't know you at the time, but like people that I followed on TikTok. So I reached out, I just said, this is my book, it's my debut. I would love for you to ARC read. I follow you. I love your content. Um, and then also like I made some author friends as well. So Kenya Gory Bell does a TikTok live where she writes with people. So I met a couple of other authors from doing that, and then they ARC read for me as well.
I love Kenya. She has
Yeah.
a workshop that she did recently too, that she's getting ready to start an Arthur workshop. Oh my
hmm
goodness. So you have found you a community.
I've definitely have found a community.
So does community did it is it playing a bigger role in you writing your other books? Do you see like a difference in you putting together and writing your timeline and everything for your first debut book and versus
hmm
the ones that you're writing now with the community help? Or is it a bigger influence or is there a difference?
It is a difference. So when I started, Channing is my developmental editor. She knew about a workshop that was going on, and I went to it, and it was great because it told me so much about indie publishing, but then also traditional publishing because, I didn't know much about it. And then one of the things that stood out to me was that, somebody said there's scammers out there, like, trying to take advantage of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I mean, for better or worse. So I think that, I have had some experiences that didn't feel good, like working with um uh like commissions, doing commissions and stuff. But
Yeah.
then I think through those negative experiences, I found people that like I continue to work with. So I think that I built a community, and I think it's made things run so much smoother because, character art is really important for getting your work out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, since I've made these connections, I have people that I can trust and rely on when it comes to character art. So that has been nice. And then also, cover art as well. So I was actually I am a part of this group called the Indie Author Revolution. And there was an artist who reached out to folks and said, I'm trying to build my portfolio. I'm doing this for free. If anybody is interested, I would love to design your book cover. So I reached out to her, and she did My Kind of Love, and she's done all of the ones after that too. She so not the special edition hardcover. SJ Rosalie, who I met through Kenya Gory Bell, did the cover art for the special edition hardcover. But yeah, so no, I mean, the community that I met, I think has made this transition a lot easier. Like, and it's also nice to have people to talk about, like, the frustrations, because, you're an indie author, so you're doing everything. You're doing the marketing, you doing finances, you shipping the books out, all of these different things, you ordering the books. So it has been really nice to have a community of folks who know what you're dealing with, who know what you're going through. So yeah, it's been helpful.
Oh my goodness. Indie art, it's like a small business, just
It
like
is a
having a
small
small
business.
business and you're wearing like so many different hats.
Mm-hmm.
So have you had any run-ins with Amazon? I've been seeing a lot of author pushback with the what is it, the page reads and
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, I've had, and they took a star away from me. So somebody reviewed My Kind of Love, and so she put the review on Amazon and Goodreads.
mhm.
And one day, and it was a 5-star review. One day I go back, the one of the stars is missing from the Amazon review, but not from the Goodreads review. And I'm like, I don't. So yeah, so it's just been things like that. Um, yeah,
Oh, Lordy.
yeah.
So these characters, I know a lot of people, and you even said that sometimes the characters speak to you like you can hear them. How did you disconnect from the characters once you finish writing them?
You know, I actually it took some time because I think as a writer, I had a bunch of imposter syndrome. So I would want to make it perfect. And so I didn't disconnect, but then I had to, it was kind of like doing shadow work in a way, like, it is going to be okay. And then it really took me getting to the point where I realized that My Kind of Love, for better or worse, is out there. It was the book that made me know that I could do this.
Hmm.
So it's out there. So anything now will be a learning experience. So I'll go, and so just realizing the beauty of it, just um in it being something that I wanted to do, and I did it. So that has made me more intentional about disconnecting. Because, and also realizing that I need to step away. I need to not hear you right now, Bronson, so that I can like when I come back, like I can give this my best. So I think, just kind of realizing those things has made it easier to be intentional about stepping away from the story and from the characters.
And that's what I really wanted, because Bronson has this strong alpha protective personality. So I'm like,
Uh-huh.
how the heck do you disconnect? Like, how do you cut him off? Like, okay, are there
Yeah.
exercises or anything else that you do to kind of disconnect?
Um, no. So let me see if there's anything else I've done. No. So, I noticed when I started writing, things that I would do before I didn't do as much. So, like, I love watching TV. I'm a mystery girly. I love me a good whodunit. And when I started writing, like, the story that I was writing was to fill in that space for me. So then, like, when I disconnect from the characters, then I go back to watching TV, or I pick up another book and read. And in that workshop that I went to that I was telling you about,
Mm-hmm.
one of the speakers said that the best writers are also readers. So also kind of keeping that in mind too, like reading other people's work and seeing what else is going on out there in romance and in mystery as well.
So the other two books, are they going to be erotic romance, or are we going to dive into like another little genre, mix and match it a little bit?
It's the next two are erotic romance. um so the fall don't we don't kick it off like we do in the My Kind of Love. But by chapter 3 we got some stuff rolling. Um but Where I Sleep, we hit the ground running and Where I Sleep.
Oh my God.
So
What can we expect differently in the fall besides not that much?
I mean, it,
What?
it's it's still there. It just don't start right away. What can we? So we will see a lot more of Bronson in his element. I think we we see who he is and who he can be.
Hmm.
It slaps us in the face in the fall. Um, and what else? We get to know Veronica, and we get to learn more about her story, and we also get to see this side. So we get to see this woman who we know is capable of doing some badass stuff. We get to see her be vulnerable and build a friend group, and I would say that the friend group that she builds with Enobi, Amy, and Jody is
Hmm.
one of my favorite parts of the fall. We also get to see like this found family trope expanded. After I finished My Kind of Love, people ask me, does Enobi want to have a baby? Does Enobi want to have a family? And I thought on that for a while. Does she want to have a family? So we get into that in the fall.
In the
So
fall.
yeah, we
That
do.
was one of my questions too. Like, with you just starting out writing and with your first book, are there any tropes out there that you have picked up and that you want to start incorporating a little bit more, or what are your favorite tropes?
So my favorite tropes, and I don't know if you technically call why choose a trope, but I love why choose, and there's so many different things that you could do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that is one thing that is just going to continue through the books. So this why choose, but it looks different. It looks different in each book. And then found family is one. And just kind of thinking about my own experience, like going through the hysterectomy and healing, but then also having my friends there who were like my chosen family. So I think found family is really important to me as well. um I love the touch her or die and die. I love that. But then also with Veronica, we get a little bit, touch me and you know. So let's see. Trying to think any other ones I can think of. Um so the sub dom trope
Mm-hmm.
continues throughout as well. And also, like, thinking about Enobi, in a lot of ways, Enobi is a dom, and I think we see more of that as it goes on too. We get to see a little bit more of her dominant side.
Are we gonna keep it like I'm trying to think of the correct, people be with their terms, a conventional or the regular BD, because it's some BDSM books out there and they are not the typical how everybody, like for instance, W.S. Greer. I don't know if you've heard of him, like the darkest kink, but
Mm-mm.
his BDSM, and he kind of lets you know that it is, but it ain't,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of outside of the norms. It pushes
Mm-hmm.
boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna see any of that pushing the boundaries of the BDSM or like that aspect?
Not necessarily pushing boundaries. I think more of what we see is characters really thinking about, BDSM and their place within the community. And in particular, in Where I Sleep, Connie has this experience where she wanted to learn more about her submissive side, and met somebody who wasn't a dom but used the term to cloak abusive tendencies. So
Oh wow.
then we kind of like, deal with her. How do I heal from this? But
Mm-hmm.
then how do I also get back out there and get the thing that I want? So we kind of, so not necessarily pushing boundaries, but more that self exploration type, more of the kind of reflective piece about what this means to me and where's my place in it.
Oh wow. That's gonna be in, which book is this gonna be in?
That is in Where I Sleep. So that is in the third one.
So we have another book in between this one before we get to that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
When can we expect the fall?
So the fall should be out. I want to say by June 1st at the latest.
This June?
So yeah, but this June. So it was originally supposed to come out May 1st, but again, being an indie author, sometimes things don't work out with the timeline. So I've had to push it back a little bit. So I am shooting for June 1st. And then Where I Sleep will be out July 1st.
Oh, that's like right behind each other.
Yeah, yeah,
So are those three
yeah.
gonna complete the trilogy?
So no, actually, there's more of the story. And so the final, I think what I want to do is continue to follow the stories of the people that we meet. So
Mm-hmm.
while in the fall we get to learn more about Bronson, we also focus on the couple, the relationship between Scott and Ronnie. And then in the fall, so we heard about Drew in book one, but we actually get to meet Drew in the third book. So I think that I want to, like, I've written some stories, like I've written a story about Jason, Bronson's brother, and um so I think I want to continue to like get little glimpses of different characters. But I think the fourth story is going to be the conclusion of Bronson, Zeke, and Enobi's story.
And
So
then they'll just pick up other characters and it'll be like crossing. You know how you
mhm,
I love books
yeah.
like that when they talk about when the worlds cross.
Hmm.
I love
Yeah.
books like that. So, do you think you'll get into like any thriller or fantasy?
Actually, yes. Um, so Bronson. Okay, so we know Enobi is a book girly,
Mm-hmm.
and so her favorite author is actually the FMC in the third book. So she writes romantasy. So I've been kind of writing things from like her perspective. So I think one of the things that I want to work on is the romantasy that her romantasy, and it's called the Eve Gene, and that's also a poly story. But and that also, the idea for that came from my experience, having a hysterectomy. And so basically the story of the Eve Gene is about a woman who's a star seed, who after her mission is completed on her planet, she can go back home. But after her mission, she didn't hear from anybody. Then she finds out that she has daughters in the world that she didn't know she had. So, and one of the things about starseeds in the story is that, if you don't have children, then you can go back home. But if you have children, then your new mission is to tell your children about what it means to be a star seed. So then you essentially have a new mission, which is to raise your children. So then she goes on this quest to find her children. So yeah.
Wait a minute.
So
Because
actually,
wait,
so I have a group, some short stories that are out too. They kind of continue. So we get to see how Jody met Briggs. And then we get to see more rope play with the three of them. It's some other fun stuff too, like a strap and pegging. And can we say those things?
we surely can. We can say
Okay,
whatever we
okay.
want. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. So, and then and then there's another scene with some kind of group love going on. And that's the third story. So in the second story, Zeke is actually reading the Eve Gene to Enobi and Bronson. So we get a little bit, like we get a snippet of that story.
I can't wait. Cause now my mind is focused on the Eve. Cause I'm like, did you not know you had daughters? And then how did they come? Were they done in a pod? Like my mind is like all over the place
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, that's all I'm gonna be thinking about now. It's like, what is going on with the Eve Gene? What's the new
Hmm.
mission? What they about to be doing? Oh my God. Now, are you
Yes.
from Baton Rouge or New Orleans?
So actually, I am from North Carolina. I moved to New Orleans. So I moved to New Orleans first, and then I ended up moving to Baton Rouge. So I'm actually in Baton Rouge now.
Got you. So you did a little,
Hmm.
you had to do a little research through the quarters.
Well, actually, yeah, yeah, I did a lot of research. So, and also like thinking about places that I knew from being there, from living there, but then
Hmm.
also, also doing a lot of research. So like looking up different things. Yeah.
Did you visit any places in particular in New Orleans that you? I meant like cafes. I meant like cafes and restaurants.
Yeah, so one of the cafes that I talk about is one that I knew well. So Backertown was one that I went to quite a bit when I lived in New Orleans. But then there were some other places like Trashy Diva, um which is more of a it's a boutique.
Mhm.
So those are places that I knew from being there. But then there were other places that I kind of made up, like Chef Brian's spot is made up, but it's also in the French Market, which is like, an area that I would walk to like once a week when I lived in New Orleans. So
I was wondering that. I said, I wonder if she is from that area. But you say you're
Hmm.
not even from, but you live here now.
Hmm.
Well, then, are there any events that you are attending soon, or where can people find you?
Yes, so I will be at the Rebels and Realms in Northwest Arkansas this summer. So I will be there July 16th through the 18th. So my goal is to have all three books out by then. So yeah, so that's the one thing that I'll be doing.
What part of
Um
Arkansas is that?
it's Northwest Arkansas. So I think they haven't really said a town. They just say Northwest Arkansas. But
Gotcha.
I think it may be the Rogers area. I'm not sure.
Because I was asking because Arkansas is not too far from where I am in Louisiana
Oh,
now. So that's why I
mm-hmm.
was like, how far that is, trying to calculate if I could do a little turnaround road trip.
Look, actually, you might want to look into it because they have influencers that will be there, and yeah.
I'm gonna get
So I,
with you so I can get to follow them and get the details.
yeah.
Especially if it's right up the road. Are you?
Hmm.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. Are you going to attend the Louisiana Book Festival? Every year they have it around like October, November.
Yeah, I don't know. So, like the Louisiana Book Festival, the one that they just had in Plaquemine, like a lot of these I didn't know about because, like I was writing and, not really like connected in
Mm-hmm.
some of these bookish spaces. I think I might look into the Louisiana Book Festival. Um, is that the one that they do in New Orleans down at Tulane?
Mm-mm. This is the one that's by the Louisiana State Capitol.
Oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
They
okay.
always have it around that little area.
Okay, okay. Yeah, no, definitely I'll look into that.
I've been going the last couple of years. The last two
Mhm.
years I went, and then me and my family get up early that morning, and then we try and make it like do like a turnaround trip. So we leave out early that morning, get there. I've learned because the first year that I went, I heard about it really late. And so I went and we got there around like maybe close to 2 o'clock, and a lot of the
Mhm.
authors had left. And that
Oh,
was the
wow.
year that Ladarian was there,
Mhm.
who wrote the fantasy novel, and he was gone, and I was just like, oh my god, I missed him. So that next year, and they said that a lot of the authors had left around like 1 o'clock or so, and so
Mhm.
that next year I made sure that I got there super early so
Mhm.
that I can be there. Some of the authors were still setting up when I got there and stuff. I wanted to be there early so that I caught all of the ones that I were looking for.
Mhm.
But yep, it's around, I want to say, I look at the dates and stuff, but I want to say it's always around like October, November, around that
Mhm.
time. And then and because the weather is nice and everything.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we know that we have a drop coming in June and July.
Mhm.
And then we have an event coming in July. So
Mhm.
tell us, where can we find you? Where can we follow you on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok?
Yep. So, Facebook, I am Facebook, Instagram, Threads. I am Skyline Milbow underscore author. On TikTok is Skyline Millbow 6, the number 6.
The number six. Is six like a
you know,
number of significance?
So it's funny that you say that. Like, I love the group Vanity Six. So when I was trying to find the name, I was like, I love Skyline Six. So that's where it came from. No significance other than Vanity Six. So,
And look at me trying to be like, who is Vanity Six?
oh, they sing that song, Nasty Girl, Nasty Girl. Do you think?
Of course.
Right.
I know the song. I just didn't know who it was that sang it.
Yeah,
Does
yeah.
Janet Jackson have a song? Maybe I thought it was. Does Janet Jackson have a song called "Nasty Girl"
Well,
or
she has
something like
a
that?
Nasty is the song. Nasty Boy. Yeah. But yeah, Vanity Six. So it was written by Prince. And yeah, I think I would love for Beyonce to like do a rendition or something of it. But yeah. So
Beyonce, if this come across your feed, look at me.
I know, I know.
It has been a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Me too. And look, I done about sweated my little shirt and dress. I was
I
so
know.
nervous. And look, you just laid back. Y'all been just so laid back and cool. I was nervous for. Look at that.
Yeah. Well, look, I got a little hot and bothered doing part of the conversation, but I've cooled down a lot since then. So yeah.
I can't wait to, and I just want to let you know that after those two books drop, I am going to be reaching out again so that we can bring you back and that we can talk
Okay.
about it.
Okay.
And
Sounds good.
especially, I hope we get a little peek of this Eve,
Mm.
what is it? The Eve seed,
It's called the Eve Gene.
the Eve
So
gene.
there's
Where
a
did you
little
get seed
piece.
from?
I don't know. Seed because she's a star seed. Maybe that's where you got it from.
Okay, the Eve gene. And but is this going to be a separate book or is just going to be like a novella or an insert in?
Well, so right now it's like a little snippet of it is
Mhm.
in Of Love. So there's collection of short stories that I was telling you about, and that's
Okay,
just available on Amazon. So that's there, and then but I I'm kind of thinking a bunch of different things. Like one idea was maybe a graphic novel, or so I don't know. We'll see
I
how
like
what
graphic
comes of it.
novels too.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see how that comes along.
Oh, I could see that as a graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah.
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Again, thank you again for joining me
Yeah.
today. It
Thank
was
you
such a
for having
pleasure.
me.
You are welcome. So until next time, make sure that you guys follow her across all her social media platforms, and we will see you next time on Lex Between the Lines.